Okay, so this is the first essay that you should be doing for your holiday work, so I hope you're having a nice holiday, but how about doing this one today? The external environment in which business operates can have a significant effect on their success. To what extent do you think that the external environment in the UK is favourable for business at the moment? Right, the first thing is you must attack that question. Right, so you don't just go external environment and think external environment, low corporation tax, exchange rates going up, low interest rate, consumers are spending lots of money, real incomes are rising. Okay, those are all external factors in the UK. What you really need to think about is answering that specific question. So to what extent do you think the external environment in the UK is favourable for business at the moment? So the first thing I want to do in my opening paragraph, I want to specifically attack that question. And I think if you look at UK business at the moment in time, because we have a growth rate of 3%, then this is a pretty good time to do businesses. But it is still that some businesses are doing better than others in the UK at this moment in time. Okay, so in my intro I would have a look at all the factors involved. Okay, consumption is going up, real incomes are rising because inflation rate is at 0.4%, but incomes are at 2%. Corporation tax is at 20%. There's a rising exchange rate right now, which is not good for UK industries because that means higher export prices and lower import prices. Okay, there's a movement towards automation, so there's reshoring coming back to the UK, and there's low interest rates. So the overall effects right now, in particular because of a growth rate of 3%, we have falling unemployment, which is at 6.4%. And also inflation is low, which is at 0.4%. Okay, so overall, because demand is increasing, then the growth outlook looks pretty good. So therefore the confidence is high. However, when I say all of that, because we had this major recession in 2008, there is still a lot of debt around, and the national debt, for example, the government debt is 9% of GDP. So there is a little bit of fear around within the economy, but the picture looks pretty good. Right. Now the external environment can have a significant effect. So we've also, within this essay, we've got to go, okay, what about globalization and emerging markets? So it may well be the case, if you really think about it, the external environment in the UK is favourable for business at the moment. So the bigger picture is, well, okay, but maybe the impact of globalisation and emerging markets is perhaps as important for business as what is happening in the UK. But first of all, we then want to tackle this. And just before we go on here, remember all of this stuff, good application. Right. To me, a good application is firmly asking the question that has been set. That's the most important thing. And good analysis, I'm going to read this bit out, is provide a logical, coherent, multi-stage argument over examining the causes and effects of an event as appropriate and linking the different aspects of the question effectively. It may make use of relevant theory to develop the argument, selecting relevant information and use appropriate methods effectively to build up the links between the stages. Okay, so that is analysis. Okay, so we've got an introduction, we started off by answering the question, then move on to point. You make a point, you explain it, and then you make a judgment on that point in relation to the question that's being asked. Thank you. So we're now moving on to the essay. Remember, the essay is to what extent do you think that the external environment in the UK is favourable for a business at this moment? So okay, so you made a point, you explain it and you evaluate it, and you build those multi-stage analytical arguments and mention some firms as well. So here I'm basically saying the overall main factors in terms of whether or not a business is doing well is actually pretty good, because you've got a low interest rate, therefore it's cheaper for firms to borrow money, we've got a low corporation tax, therefore firms can keep more of their money so they can invest more, so therefore they become more efficient, they become more effective. The exchange rate was low, but now it's high, but when it was low it was good because lower export prices, higher import prices, but now the exchange rate is higher, we have high export prices and lower import prices. So that's not so good for us when we're trying to export, particularly to Europe, where we sense 50% of our exports, and also real incomes are rising. So that's good because there's going to be more consumption. If there's more consumption, there's going to be more demand for firms. And also, actually, this government has made it quite friendly for businesses. They've got another thing, 0-hour contracts. 0-hour contracts. So what does that mean? It's cheaper for firms to employ people because they only need to employ them for the amount of time that they need those people. So therefore, overall, the picture right now in the year 2015 is looking pretty good for the UK, and overall we have economic growth. In fact, it is the best in Europe. So the evaluation is, well, yes, things are looking pretty good for businesses at this moment in time, apart from the exchange rate. And I suppose you could also say, and apart from the fact that the government still has very high levels of national debt, which they hope they will get down. Right, point made. The next point I would make, well, you know, there's this big recession in 2008, so therefore people have become much more price conscious, even though some of the excellent environments are looking good. So in particular, certain firms have done very well, e.g. cost minimisation strategy, Aldi, Ryanair, Primark, Domino's, Pizzas. They've done extremely well in the times of hardship, and they're continuing to do well because although real incomes are rising, people are still feeling the pinch a little bit, so therefore can't go out and spend money on more luxurious items. So therefore some of the older firms like Tesco's, and particularly those that charge high prices, British Airways, are suffering at this time. So therefore it does appear that the external environment has helped some firms more than other firms. Great evaluation, you're comparing some firms, contrasting it with other firms. You developed arguments about cost minimisation. They have a lower cost base compared to these firms here, which have a higher cost base and are therefore finding it much harder to survive. So we've got two great paragraphs on there. Great introduction, right, analysis, application, all of those things. Right, let's move on to the third paragraph, thank you. Okay, this is the last part of this particular thing. So this is the external environment one again. And point 3, well, yeah, of course, the external environment can have a significant impact. And I may also say here that the external environment in terms of globalisation and in emerging markets and technology, right, we should know that subject by now, and technology can all have a pretty big impact upon the UK. Why is that? Well, okay, those firms that have used cost minimisation have succeeded, but also lots of strategies, in fact, have succeeded in the UK. Nissan uses cost optimisation. Tata, J&R, they use a process of diversification. Dyson, technology, and Hoover has been incredibly successful. Apple's been successful. JCB, because they've got a fantastic product, they've also been successful. They spend lots of money on research and development and come out with new ideas. All of these companies here do. Tata J&R has also adopted automation. So therefore, yes, if you have the right strategy, then your firm is still going to be successful. And those firms that don't have the right strategies don't tend to be successful. So, for example, if you look at Morrison's, are they going to be the low price firm, or are they going to try and compete on quality? Whereas someone like Sainsbury's have done really well because they still compete on quality and their prices are pretty high, but not that high. Okay, so yes, if you have the right strategies, particularly cost minimisation, but these firms do in fact have other strategies, and the right sort of leadership and the right sort of management. Mystery for this one, Dyson for this one. I don't know the leader of the JCB one, never mind about that. So if you have the right strategies, you're still going to be okay, but conditions are actually pretty good. So what's your evaluation going to be? Here, your evaluation is, okay, even if you have the right strategies in the UK, your firm is still going to be successful because there's not a massive recession on like there was in 2008. Okay, point 3 done. Now what are you going to say in your conclusion? Directly answer the question. Yes, I would say right now it's pretty favourable because we've got 3% growth, unemployment is falling, rising real incomes, and there is also stability, which is absolute key for firms. The one thing that firms must have is stability. There are some black clouds on the horizon, mainly fears of a crash in Europe, when we do 50% of our trade in Europe. There could still be fears of a banking crisis. That could create real problems for the UK economy. However, if you have the right strategies, for example, Aldi, which is very price conscious, they've got a much lower cost base than any other supermarkets in the UK. They also have a certain amount of quality within them, a bit like Primark actually, and a bit like Ryanair. They've become more customer focused. That seems to be working. So therefore, right, conditions are pretty good in the UK, and if you have the right strategies, then you can take advantage of the good conditions. So things are looking pretty rosy at this moment in time. However, there are problems in terms of stability, and there are fears that it may not all turn out to be that great. Okay, so that's that essay. Attack the question, and if you don't do that, you won't get good analysis or good application. But in the analysis, start building those arguments all of the time. Okay, that's the whole bit. That's the whole bit. And always remember, my little theory, it is good on one great paragraph. Remember, it says it on here. I'm just trying to look for the sheet of paper now, which I probably can't find in time. Okay. Remember. Okay, I'm just trying to find this, but I know it says here that once, right, markers should mark from the top down. Is it good? If not, is it reasonable? If not, is it limited? Right. Once you've hit good analysis, you only need to hit it once, and then you can't go below that point again. So one great paragraph with one good analysis in, you're in there. And one good application also, you're in there. So you get good application, good analysis, you get 23 out of 26. It says it on here somewhere. I can't just find it at this moment in time. Okay, thank you.